Today, I want to speak to you about commitment. It seems like commitment is the definition of commitment seems to be changing over the years. And in fact, when I came across this article, I actually had to look up the word commitment because I became confused. Have you ever opened up an article or saw a title that made you stop in your tracks? That seems to be all we're seeing nowadays is like these titles, or whether it's on videos or, this sort of shocking sort of way of grabbing our attention. I can't say I'm shocked, but it did grab my attention. And the title of it was, I'm not single, but I prefer to live alone. And I was like, okay, what? Like, so at first I thought, okay, I get it. Yeah, okay, well, space, independence, personal time, especially those who are introverted. I know I am. And so, it sounds reasonable. But then I took a step back. I thought about the word, like I said, the word commitment. Wait a minute. Like, doesn't like if you're in an intimate relationship and then you're talking about autonomy, like how does that even work? Yeah, so like I couldn't shake this question, is this really about autonomy or is it about avoiding responsibility? So that's what I want to talk to you about today. It like I always talk about it, with relationships about the importance of we and not I. And this specific article is all about that. It seems to be we're shifting away from we towards a me and my own autonomy type of culture. So I feel that more and more couples are choosing to live apart. Well, still trying to be together. It's marketed as enlightened, progressive, even sort of a healthy accountability without obligation. I mean, it sounds good, right? But let's be honest. Since when did relationships thrive without obligation? Like think about even a parent and a child relationship. Like if that's a truly loving relationship, then how does that come without obligation? No, it doesn't. Like when I sign up to be a mother, there's a whole lot of obligation that's tied with that. I mean, since when was freedom ever the foundation of real love? Freedom isn't the foundation of love. And that's what we're getting really confused about nowadays. So, like, I mean, we're being conditioned to prioritize our comfort over commitment. That's really what it comes down to. And not just in relationships. This spills over to friendships. It spills over to businesses and even faith. We've turned commitment into more of a burden instead of seeing it for what it really is. It's the foundation of something greater. The question isn't, is it easier, which is what we find ourselves like wanting to ask. It's not a question of, is this easier? The question is, easier at what cost? Like, there's always a cost to things being easier. It might be easier to, like, I was even thinking about this the other day, and with technology, everything is easier. I was thinking about it even in the sense of, now I do a fair bit of online grocery ordering. It's easier because every time, I mean, not only in terms of cost of gas or, your time spent going into the grocery store, it's also, I find, a little bit cost saving because otherwise when I step into the grocery store, I'm like signs all over, like sales at the end of the aisles. I end up picking up tons of other things that I didn't actually come in there for. But I was I was thinking about like parent and child relationships now, and how if all mothers who are very busy when their children are young are choosing online grocery shopping, what is that like? I mean, how do children learn how to enter a store? And because I mean, when my kids were young, there's no such thing. And because of the, I'm not going to hire a babysitter to take care of my kids while I go grocery shopping. I took my kids in the grocery store very often, unless my husband was home to take care of them. And yes, that was great when he was, because then I'm not dealing with like children that are tired, cranky, wanting the treats at the till, blah, blah, blah. But often I found it kind of fun to be with them as well, right? I mean, they would be intrigued and wanting to help out, putting things in the cart and whatever. But like, it's sort of like even that, you know, like how do children learn how to, yeah, I was going to say behave in public or, um, being taught, we can't have everything. And mom is selecting this for this reason. Just little things like that. I mean, like convenience and the word easy always comes with a cost. In the grocery store example, it's not avoiding the cost of commitment, which is what I'm speaking about here today, but like you have to realize easy in general always means it often comes with a cost. You don't get anything for free nowadays, as they say. There's no such thing as a free bowl of soup. You know, there's always a reason why it's free. Okay, let's just think about, you know, tradition versus modern day culture. I mean, I get it. Like, relationships are hard work. And I've heard the opposite. It's like, no, my relationship's not. No, no, I've been doing this long enough to tell you that any lasting relationship is hard work. And if you're in a relationship right now that seems easy breezy, please put a comment in here. I want to know about it. Maybe you're still in the honeymoon phase. Maybe you just haven't received a challenge in your relationship yet. Like maybe, I never want to have challenges come upon any sort of relationship, but there's going to be a time where maybe it's a financial problem, maybe it's an infidelity problem, maybe it's like a sickness problem, maybe it's a COVID problem, and one is feeling like vaccination is everything, and the other one is all of a sudden, wondering, is this the right thing to do? I mean, you're inherently two different people, so I just don't understand how there can never be a problem or how it can always be easy. Marriage is not a constant high. It's not supposed to be. It's a choice. That's what it is. And it's one that you make over and over again, even when feelings fade. Because your lovey-dovey feelings are going to fade. And I'm also not saying that every relationship should be saved. There are some real reasons why people choose to live apart. I mean, mental illness might be one. I mean, if one partner is being emotionally abusive to the point where the other partner can hardly survive and is becoming fragile in their own mental health. I mean, but this is where you need to see a professional because sometimes challenges make us feel like it is a mental health issue when it's actually moments of anxiety, most moments of uncertainty, moments of low esteem, and that can be repaired. So, I mean, this becomes very nuanced, and I'm not going to make any general statements here, nor do I know your relationship. But I mean, sometimes people are choosing to live apart just because of career demands and other personal circumstances that need deeper, like I say, pause and likely professional help. But I'm talking about a culture here that's teaching us to abandon anything that requires sacrifice. that glorifies individualism while quietly eroding the very thing that we crave the most, which is deep, meaningful connection. So let me ask you, do you think avoiding commitment is making us happier? As a society, do you think it's making relationships stronger? Because from where I stand in my work, it's making people lonelier than ever before. And if you think this is just about like you, think again. What are we teaching our kids when they see relationships that function like subscriptions, basically? It's easy to cancel, no penalties, super easy. Like when what I'm talking about here, what I'm seeing now in modernity, in our current culture, is that like when we show them that our comfort matters more than the covenant of marriage, what is that showing our kids? Because make no mistakes, marriage is a covenant. It's not a contract. It's when like, and when do we turn into when what the problem is here is like when we turn it into a transaction, we lose its true purpose. I want to like just sort of end this on why we have to think of marriage being having a strong spiritual connection here. You know what? I'm flawed. Like I am so flawed sometimes that I think, why am I even trying to teach people anything? Because I have so much work to do. But the truth is, so are you. And so is your partner. So, marriage isn't about finding someone who's perfect. It's about choosing someone imperfect and saying, I'm in this with you, no matter what. And that is why marriage is a reflection of something greater. It's because you're with someone who's extremely flawed, and so are you. And it's because that you have to, succumb to mercy over and when I say mercy, it's sort of like giving the person mercy, providing them mercy, providing them grace when you're hit with hurt, emotional hurt so hard, time and time again. It's like how can you say those things to me, or how can you do those things to me over and over again and over again, providing them mercy? Because you know what? Something higher, something more spiritual, some greater intelligence is giving you that same mercy over and over again, giving you that grace over and over again. And if that's happening to you, you need to kind of keep the flywheel going here. You need to give it to the other person because you need to do so much work on yourself. And if you think you don't, think this over again. Whatever you feel is so wrong with your partner, you're gonna find it in the next person you run to. You know, um, it's really time for people to think that. So if you think like living in this sort of independence, autonomous world is some, greater alternative towards commitment, you're missing the big picture here. Like I said, it's only in commitment that you find real, true connection and love. It's sort of like in sickness and in health. We stand side by side. We leave the me and we go towards the we. Because you know what? When I'm weak, I need somebody there. I don't need a house alone by myself so that I can monitor the heating and, the finances and like this autonomy sort of living is saying, I can control everything. And this is what brings me happiness. This is wonderful. I have control of everything. That's not what happiness is creating this micro chiasm of control. Controlling doesn't bring you happiness at all. I get to do whatever I want, whenever I want, and however I want. That's not what control is at all. I explain it in greater depth in in my blog posts. If I usually do a YouTube video along with a blog post, just like I guess a food creator does a video and then they have the recipe fully explained. You can think of my blog posts being like that as well. Sometimes I get on Instagram and I do a little post as well. Just depends. But yeah, like I mean, in Christian teaching, it really marriage represents God's love for us, this selfless, enduring, steadfast type of love. So if you're on the fence, I mean, if you're wondering if this commitment is worth it, ask yourself, are you running towards something meaningful or running away from something hard? Because real love is found inside of commitment, like not outside of it. So, yeah, I mean, let me end it with that. If this resonated with you, if you're seeing the cracks in our culture's message on love and commitment, drop me a comment below because I think it's this sort of autonomous, I have the power, I have the control, that's really reflecting on what's going on in our society right now and the breakdown of marriage in general. It really is. I'm not, and like, yes, this article's like kind of stopped me in my tracks, but at the same time, it didn't. It's like, sure, of course. Yeah, why would we want monogamy? Same thing, you know. It's the same the same thought process just like transferred into so many different parts of our culture right now. It's a very common theme. Yeah. So yeah. So if you want to reclaim, your own strength in your relationships, your marriage, like I invite you to join me. Please, please subscribe. Please share. Please follow because I don't want to do this alone. I can't do this alone. I need more conversation. I want to build more conversation around this, one where we just don't consume our relationships. We commit to them. Okay. It's not all about you. It's about what we need. So, yeah, thanks. Thanks for watching as always. Bye.